Hey everyone, thank you for checking out my video. I want to explore something that fascinates me. Why do so many of our fantasy worlds default to decline and decay? Why is grimdark so prevalent in modern gaming? My hypothesis is simple. We live in a declining civilization, so decline is all we know how to create. And when we do see something trying to be built up, our natural instinct is to stomp on it. Think about it. When was the last time you played in a campaign where the empire was genuinely growing, expanding and thriving, where the people were part of something, like actually involved in building instead of surviving, salvage or defending? I want to look at what makes empires and civilizations rise versus fall, and how understanding these patterns can revolutionize your world building. I've been doing experiments like this since I started playing Dungeons & Dragons, and part of the joy for me is in watching how players react and handle new challenges and experiences. Let's be honest about what dominates modern tabletop RPG settings. We have post-apocalyptic wastelands, crumbling kingdoms, corrupt nobles, failed institutions, and realistic moral ambiguity where nothing pure can exist except as an esoteric way, like this good, that bad. Even our heroes are often anti-heroes, struggling in systems that can't be fixed, only survived. Or we have bland settings that exist in some kind of static bubble where nothing really changes and nothing really matters. It just sort of exists for no apparent reason at all. And I think this reflects our lived experience. We've grown up watching institutions fail, seeing once great nations struggle with internal divisions, witnessing the breakdown of social trust. So when we create fantasy worlds, we unconsciously recreate what we know: decline. That isn't how empires and civilizations start out. But since we're living in the tail end of one, it's what we know. They begin with energy, purpose, and genuine belief in their mission. Understanding how to portray growing empires opens up entirely new storytelling possibilities. A growing empire or civilization in your campaign world should feel alive with possibility. The key is unified purpose. Everyone from the emperor to the common soldier believes they're part of something greater. This isn't naive optimism. It's a shared conviction. And believe it or not, this really can happen in real life. Your empire needs leaders who inspire rather than just rule. Think of NPCs who embody the empire's values and can articulate why expansion serves a higher purpose. Maybe they're spreading superior laws, protecting trade routes, or bringing civilization to wilderness areas. Citizens genuinely believe their way of life is superior. It might not be true, but they think it. They get a natural pride that comes from belonging to something successful. Your players should encounter people who are proud of their institutions, their achievements, and their shared identity. A growing empire feels prosperous. Markets are bustling. New construction is everywhere. Young people have opportunities for achievement. There's a social mobility through imperial service. Join the army, serve the bureaucracy, contribute to the emperor's mission, and you can rise. Citizenship through service. Most successful empires had some unifying belief system. Maybe it's a state religion, a political philosophy, or a cultural mission. This gives people meaning beyond mere survival and creates bonds between diverse populations. The empire's forces aren't just strong, they are driven by their cause. They're disciplined, well-equipped, and motivated by more than just pay. They see themselves as bringing something like order to chaos. Now contrast this with how we typically portray empires in gaming. We default to corruption, incompetence, and decay because that's what feels realistic to us. But this creates a fundamental problem for storytelling. In a declining empire, what can heroes actually accomplish? They might slow the collapse, but they can't reverse it. The best they can do is preserve something valuable in the ruins for a time. This leads to inherently reactive storytelling. You're always responding to problems, never building solutions. Your empire has competing factions, weak central authority, and regional governors acting independently. Sound familiar? It's the evening news. Trade routes are unsafe, taxes are crushing, and the currency is becoming worthless. People focus on survival rather than growth. Different groups within the empire hate each other more than they hate external enemies. Unity has fractured along ethnic, religious, or class lines. Nobody believes in the empire's mission anymore. It's just a system that extracts resources without providing value. Remember, please, I am not being political here. This applies to every single civilization or empire that has ever existed. I am not singling one out or suggesting solutions. This is about running a thought experiment in a game setting. All this creates campaigns where the best possible outcome is managing decline gracefully. Heroes become firefighters, not architects. Success is measured in only how tough they have become and how much they have enriched themselves. The world be damned. The setting is a thing to be exploited, not built. So how do you actually run a growing empire campaign? Start with the empire's mission statement. What does it stand for? What is it trying to achieve? Establish up front that you're trying something new by exploring how empires actually function, not reflecting modern values. Players who can't separate fantasy world building from current politics probably aren't suited for this type of campaign. I always warn my players, this game isn't for everyone. Like if players resist the Empire's mission based on contemporary moral concerns, I remind them they're exploring how successful civilizations actually function. This isn't political commentary. It's examining institutional patterns that our modern experience makes difficult to understand. Players uncomfortable with this premise may prefer different campaign styles, and that's fine. Instead of "the kingdom is falling apart," try "the kingdom is expanding too quickly and needs heroes to consolidate new territory." Instead of "corruption is everywhere," try "ambitious nobles are competing to contribute most to the imperial glory." Your imperial officials should generally be capable and motivated. Yes, include some corruption and incompetence, of course, since all human institutions have flaws. But the overall system should work. When players interact with imperial bureaucracy and others, they should encounter people who care about doing their jobs well. In a growing empire, success is possible. People should see opportunities to rise through service, gain recognition for achievement, and contribute to something lasting. Their victories should build towards something greater than just stealing loot and powering up. Growing empires face real problems. They're not utopias. They might struggle with rapid expansion, cultural integration, or external threats. But these are growth problems, not decay problems. The empire is getting stronger, not weaker. People want to join it, not tear it down. NPCs should generally believe in their civilization's values. They're not cynical or disillusioned. They're proud of what they're building and optimistic about the future. They should be eager to get involved. This doesn't mean abandoning all conflict or moral complexity, of course. Growing empires create their own dramatic tensions. What happens when imperial expansion conflicts with local traditions? How do you balance rapid growth with stability? What sacrifices are acceptable in service of a greater good? These questions generate compelling stories without the nihilistic undertones of decline narratives. Your players can engage with genuine moral dilemmas while still being part of something constructive. The key insight is that people in growing empires aren't saints. They're humans with purpose, confidence, and institutional support. They make mistakes, definitely, face difficult choices, and sometimes choose wrongly, but they're building, not just surviving. I think that we've internalized decline so deeply that growth feels unrealistic to us. Except most of human history has been people building things. Cities, institutions, civilizations. They believe in progress, in making things better for their children. Try running a campaign where the empire is genuinely ascending, where institutions generally work, where there's hope for the future, where heroes can build something lasting. You might be surprised how refreshing it feels to create rather than just salvage. And you might be surprised at how challenging it can be. That's part of the fun. You can ask yourself, why is it so hard to do? A game setting like this can give everyone a lot to reflect on. And for me, that's when a game itself ascends into art. When I leave the table with questions, or when I have learned or discovered something, is when I know it was a good game. I think the gaming world needs more stories about building up, not just tearing down. Your game table is the perfect place to start. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching.